Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. I'm your host, Reed Hansen. This is the podcast where we break down what's actually working in marketing right now and cut through everything that isn't. Today's episode is for anyone who's ever looked at their marketing and thought, why does this feel so complicated and why isn't it working? Today, our guest, Michael Trkolta, has spent over 20 years helping small and mid-sized businesses simplify their marketing and focus on what actually drives growth. He's the managing director of Web Oracle, and he specializes in turning complex strategies into clear, executable systems that generate consistent and qualified leads. Before all of that, he was actually a professional tennis player training and competing in Spain. That explains a lot about his disciplined, performance-driven approach to this business. Today, we're diving into where businesses are wasting time and budget right now, what actually works in an AI-driven marketing landscape, and how to build a system that consistently generates leads without the chaos. Michael, welcome to the show.
Reed, thank you very much for having me. And what a wonderful introduction.
You're clearly a very interesting person, and I'd love to, if you're okay with that, I'd love to start with your professional tennis playing experience. Tell us a little bit about that, and how does that mindset or any skills or learnings, how does that transfer over to your current role? Like what might have really flavored your approach to marketing?
Great question. And I get asked that question quite a few times throughout a month, at least probably about 15 times when I meet new people. Well, I guess I was dropped off at a tennis court when I was a kid, literally every single day. My father went to work very early in the morning and my mum would go along and help him. And I was dropped off at the court, so I'd practice all day and I was picked up late at night. So topped and tailed, played tennis literally every single day and learned discipline. It was an important part of where I am today. It helped me grow as a person, but it taught me some very important life skills in terms of really being focused and understanding what the fundamentals are that get you to where you want to go, and more importantly, what success looks like. So tennis is a win or lose game. There's no such thing as a draw. So you're playing a win every time. And having those fundamentals there in place really helped me develop life skills that have worked moving forward from there.
Fantastic. I think a lot of us are somewhat envious of that experience, but clearly it comes with a lot of hard work. And I think many times in marketing, we see the beautiful product or the beautiful approaches that just seems like it's working on autopilot, but maybe we don't. As you mentioned, you were practicing every day, sun up to sundown, and there was a tremendous amount of preparation and refinement that went into making you become a professional. So that's a great lesson to take away. Now, Web Oracle. So you work with a conglomerate with several different brands. Tell us a little bit about your focus there and your current role. What kinds of projects do you take on?
Good question. So we work with medium to enterprise type clients, helping solve complex problems from a marketing perspective. I mean, companies don't come to us unless they have a problem or something's not working. So we look at everything from the start of what they're currently doing. We analyze the data. We look at everything very carefully, and then we come back with a report to suggest some ideas and work out where their existing problems are. Nothing really works unless the cornerstone foundations are set in place in any situation. And from tennis, you don't have that right shot and you haven't got an approach shot when you're entering or moving towards the net there, it's all going to fall apart. So cornerstone and foundation is the secret to every success story in marketing. So our company, we network media right across the board. We have Web Oracle, 360-degree agency. We have data miners. We have a bunch of different people that do different things. But more importantly, it's all about working out where the problems are to begin with. Good marketing's all good. All marketing is great. But if you don't have the foundation in place, you will find it that it'll fall apart very, very quickly. So for us, it's about identifying where they are, what that messaging is going to look like moving forward, and then applying it via split testing in some capacity. And then, throwing money at things doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have success. What does success look like for us? It's quality. It's understanding your audience. It's having the foundational things like your messaging. Starting with messaging, what does that look like on your site? Does your site perform well? Is it a platform for people to look at and say, oh, that's great, that looks fantastic? Or is it a business tool? So that's your first port of call. Now, if you can look at yours and think, okay, well, maybe it's not so good. What have I got to do here that I need to fix? Well, if it's not speaking to the channels that you're advertising or promoting, well, there's a discord there. You need to fix that. So there's no point in going out and spending money on, Google ads, Meta, various other channels that you're looking at. Fix the fundamentals, create a message, create a structured process that actually tells a story about what you do. Now that's more compelling. Short, sweet, direct, and to the point.
Yeah, I love it. And now from your experience, so that's a great overview. From your experience, what are some of the typical problems you're encountering when you come into a new client, to their environment around marketing? I think you've identified a few, but are there any things that we could learn to just flag early on to watch out for? Obviously, we've got an audience here of small, medium-sized business owners. What are some of the common traps?
Well, common traps is really, clients, we work with marketing departments right through to business owners with, 20 or 30 people in the business. And one of the things that we consistently see is there is no direction in terms of their strategy. They have all these channels, but they haven't worked out the underlying problem and why they're not working. So clarity basically defines an ideal customer. The problems that you need to solve obviously are the pathways. Once they're clear, execution becomes more effective. How do you approach growth? I see growth as a system, not a campaign. Strategy, messaging, website, acquisition, and data all need to work together. If one part is weak, the entire system underperforms. Lots overloaded tactics and tools at the moment. There's so much choice at the minute. With the advent of AI, it's a matter of choosing. It's literally choosing the right platform. But I feel that we've doubled down in the space now, and there's more pressure on businesses, more so than ever, especially if you haven't caught up in that space, to really learn quickly, because some of those tools that are out there can help and great in certain environments, not necessarily in all. You need to use them sparingly, but also have that human element attached to it. There is always a new platform and trend, as I said, and none of it produces consistent results. One particular tip: look at your website and ask whether it's designed to divert or just to inform, and can significantly improve performance, as I said earlier.
Interesting. I like this thread and I want to keep pulling it a little bit.
Sure.
There's a lot of new tools. A lot of them have AI. Maybe it's in the URL, or they've got some very rudimentary things, or sometimes much more complex things. What do you think people are doing well with AI that you're observing? And what is something that maybe isn't ready for production in terms of AI tools and tactics?
I think the good tools can I name some tools here?
Please. Yeah, please.
Yeah. If you have a look at Claude, for example, it's not a bad tool. ChatGTP, not a bad tool. It's where they're pulling their information from. So one of the important things to think about when using these tools is understanding, fact-checking exactly where the information is being pulled from. If you have a look at Claude and you're using, let's say, the enterprise platform, you'll find that they're generally using the Spotify model where they're pay per use, a little bit like a licensing model on a song, where a track's played, the artist gets X. They're pretty much doing the same. So fact check exactly where all the information is coming from. It's not being pulled from the internet. Most of it does get scraped from the internet, but the good tools are pulling information from government sources that have actually been fact checked. So they're the good tools that I would suggest people look at first, but then there is an educational piece around that. And what are you going to use it for is the next most important thing. So each tool has its ups and downs. So work out which one you want to use and apply it correctly.
Curious, do you use AI much in your day-to-day as a hands-on practitioner? Do you use it much?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of work involved, as I said earlier, I mean, the advent of AI has literally doubled down the amount of work that you, as an agency, have to do internally. And the expectation from a client currently is just through the roof. We want everything
Yes.
yesterday. And using AI to structure things and put things together. I mean, you could literally put together a calculator or some source code or whatever. Anyone can do that now. You don't necessarily need a developer to do it. And you can do your research on it if it's on the right platform. So there's all these great things that it can do, but there still is, again, a human element where you need to fact check everything before you do or take the next step. So whilst it's great in terms of condensing and compressing the amount of work that you're doing, it's the 80-20% rule. 80% of the work's been done, 20% needs to be fact checked. So it does reduce the amount of work. So we use it. Yes, we do. Of course, you'd be falling apart if you weren't.
I agree. And I run a digital agency as well, and it's a constant pick of conversation. And there's a lot of tools to vet or to try. But there's also one of the concerns that I'm getting. We do SEO services. I'm sure it's a part of your offering as well. And
Yes.
where does AI fit in all that? And how do we get more citations in AI search? Have you encountered that?
Yeah, we do. Look, I think it's changed the landscape you can augment AI. I mean, if you have a look at your AI, I'm sure most of your clients use, or some of your listeners and audience here are very familiar with SEMrush, and you've got this new AI tool that they've now introduced to see where they're being picked up in AI. It's about getting the right links and the right media mentions in the right publications, etc., and platforms is really what generates that interest and that drive to be able to sort of appear in certain spaces. So for us, you can augment, as you know, Reed. There are certain ways you can augment that, and that's, look, good old fashioned SEO is never going to go away. Great, articles about your business that really underpin everything you do, that has consistency, is certainly always valued, because when a client is potentially looking for an agency, they will do some fact checking, and the person that's generally doing the fact checking is that mid-tier person that's sort of coming in doing the research for them, and they'll present that to the CMO and say, hey, I've narrowed it down to 5 or 4 or 3 agencies, and I've narrowed it down for these particular reasons. And it's usually because AI snippets are appearing at the top of Google or in various other places. So that's important to have, is being able to have that consistency in being quoted or cited in various other websites.
Yeah. I know you work with businesses of all sizes. And as we talk about AI, they are driven by these very suddenly huge AI companies, OpenAI and Claude, and these other big tech companies are involved with their own flavors of AI. And it makes us think that AI comes from a place of large companies. But do you think today that it is still a good environment for small and medium-sized businesses to market, to differentiate, to grow? Do you think this is a time of opportunity, or do you think that this is crushing us? Where would you stand between those 2 points?
Oh, wow. That's such a good question. There's a learning phase, and I believe technology is a good thing. It's your friend. Anything that can take a workload off your plate and reduce it is always a great thing. Embrace it is what I suggest. And I feel that if you're not completely confident with it, there are so many great courses out there. Go out and do something, find your niche, find out what you want to do with it, how you want to use it, and then find the right appropriate platform or platforms and learn about them and how to use them. There's great tutorials out there, even on YouTube, on how to use them effectively. So it can help anyone pretty much do anything you need to do, whether it's an agency or whether it's someone trying to do their own marketing. go out and do some research, find what suits you best.
Yeah, no, that's great. So another thing that I'm always interested in is what capabilities do you think a smaller business should, so say like you're a small shop, small team, there's a certain balance of skills that you develop internally. So you
Yeah.
train up on certain marketing things, you do certain marketing tasks yourself, and others that you outsource, that you bring in experts that have decades of experience like yourself or that have some specialized skills. Do you, when you're talking to your clients, how do you coach them through that balance? Like, how do you help them navigate what they should learn and do themselves and what they should outsource?
Well, we try and always, if it's a smaller type client versus an enterprise client where there's a marketing sector within the company, the smaller clients, we always try and give them a bunch of templated tools to use themselves. We'll give them a calendar for their social rollout campaign, but mainly they need to have a structure that they can do because cost is everything in a small business. A client that has, 10 or 15 people internally and doesn't really have the time to sit there and work out and roll out a campaign needs to lean on an agency in some capacity. And where they get value out of that is finding an agency that can literally put a campaign together and teach them how to do it and manage the campaign along the way and guide them using templates, something that they can do internally. As you know, a lot of social work takes a lot of manpower to be able to get it across the line and make it work properly. So who knows their business better is the person that actually owns the business and the people that are working in it. So templates and understanding what their requirements are is instrumental to success for smaller type businesses.
Fantastic. I love that. So, Michael, you have some tremendous experience and insight here. I love the perspective as a professional athlete. I think
Thank
it's inspiring. Hard work pays off, turns into brilliant performance. Now, if you had one piece of advice from your experience that you would give to a small business that felt stuck with their marketing, what would you give them?
The best piece of advice I could possibly give you is probably understand who your audience is, understand your messaging, what you're looking to do, collaborate with some people that know what they're doing and work out the most cost-effective way of putting a campaign together. But make sure that cornerstones of everything you do are always in place. Throwing money at a campaign or any activity is not always the answer. So traffic doesn't equal more money. It could potentially equal more problems. So quality over quantity is more important. Split test, understand what you're doing and test it in the market space over a period of time. If you've got the capability of doing that, do that, but always fact check everything you do. Have your data points ready to go. Understand what is happening in the background and what the landscape looks like. And more importantly, what are your competitors doing that you are not? Understand and differentiate yourself from them. Sometimes that's all it can take.
I love it. I love it. Michael, if people would be interested in working with you or even having you as a podcast guest, you've been great.
Thank
Where
you.
can they find you? Where best links to get?
Best
hold of
links to get me on is on LinkedIn, Michael Trkolta. You'll find me very quickly under Network Media Group, or you can directly check in on, are you okay if I put my email in on this?
Certainly, yeah.
You is my direct email, or you can basically contact us directly through our contact form on Web Oracle.
Well, thank you, Michael. This was tremendous. I love hearing your experience. And
Thank you very much.
I think this approach is going to be very helpful to a lot of small businesses.
Thank you very much, Reed. You have a wonderful day.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.